And after some technical difficulties, I think we are live. Did you
Live is
get your
always my
notes
fault.
though?
Huh?
Did you get your notes?
No.
Still haven't found your notes.
No, I don't
Uh,
know where I put them.
that's awesome.
I
That's
thought I
awesome.
had them on the desktop. They're not there anymore.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of what we're calling the Science Dum Dums. I'm still not married to that. There's days I like it, and there's other days where I'm like, I don't know if I like it. But that's what it is right now. That's what that logo says up top. Science Dum Dums, a series of two average humans talking about science stuff. Science stuff is something that intrigues me, has always intrigued me. So we're just having conversations about that particular stuff. Um, Richard is the co-host, and he's kind of like me, maybe a little bit more academically trained on the science side than I am. Um, but but yeah, that's what we're hoping to do. Anything you want to say before I give corrections from last episode?
Yeah. That you are giving me a whole lot more credit than I deserve here. So
That's funny. Uh, well, I mean, I didn't say you fucking had it all. I just said you have a little bit more academic training than I do. I think
yeah.
that's honest.
Yeah.
Um, so last weekend, last week, we talked about the Kardashev scale, and I just wanted to clear a few things up. I was mistaken about, and I think I think I did an okay job at mentioning how I was unsure, but just to be sure about nuclear energy, I had brought up fission and fusion. We use fission, not fusion, and I think we said that we use fission. Or I'm sorry, fusion, but we use fission. And fusion is what the sun uses. So fission is the splitting of the atoms, fusion is the bringing of the atoms together.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And right now, there's nothing commercially available for fusion. And fission does have some fallout. It can be pretty clean, but there is some fallout. I think that's another thing that I had mentioned about the lack of fallout. Um, and it's better than what it was. We know how to contain a little bit more, but it's definitely nowhere near as humans visualize it to be. The other thing that is worth clearing up a little bit, we went into like 7 levels of humans or planets, 7 levels of planets on this Kardashev scale. Kardashev himself only talked about 3.
Hmm.
Everything else came after him. Everything else came after him. So, um, yeah, that's really all. We're getting better. We're fucking getting better. This is very little corrections from last time. So,
All right.
what's our topic today?
If I can remember, we were talking about. Okay, I got to go way back into the brain.
Simulations.
Simulations. Oh,
Yeah, that's what
okay.
you sent me
So
yesterday.
yeah, I think it's spawned off of an article that I wrote a little while back because it's always been a debate, or it's been a debate as to whether or not we're living in a simulation,
Yeah.
or um, if people are just crazy.
What do you mean by people are just crazy?
I don't know. There's a lot of conspiracies that are out, and
Oh,
one of
for
them
sure.
is,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. For
whether or
sure.
not we're living in a matrix, and I say no, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think most humans who are serious about this understand that this is probably not a real thing. It's more of a thought experiment more than anything else, and I think that's how most scientists actually approach it.
Mhm.
They obviously you have to evaluate everything. There are some studies, there are some credible things out there, but for the most part, it's all just sci-fi type stuff.
Definitely. So one of the things that there was a thought experiment that came out. There was a university study in which case they decided to program an AI system to simulate our real world, and for the most part, it was fine. It was able to simulate the growth of trees. It was able to simulate basically how our world is formed. It can simulate humans. It could not simulate the small intricacies such as like emotions. It couldn't simulate how flowers would respond to the lack of sunlight, things like that.
Correct.
So yeah, little small details are what it missed, and that basically proved the experiment that we couldn't be living in a simulation. Otherwise, things wouldn't go as smooth as they do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this, like it's this stuff right here that it is like, why? Like, if this was a simulation, if this was, there's a lot of mundane in between stuff with no real purpose. 'Cause like when I play a game, there's a purpose to all of it, right? You can argue, well, you don't know what happens when you shut it down, like, but nothing happens because it's shut down.
Right.
But there's a lot of stuff that just it it serves no purpose, no real purpose, no any of that stuff. So it's kind of weird.
Hmm. Um, so I mean, that's what I have on the subject. Oh, what happened? You there? I'm back, Edgar. I think his power went out too. Yeah, it's a lot of what I have on this subject. Just sit back and wait for Edgar to come in. We'll wait here for Edgar to get back in. Looks like we're having a lot of technical difficulties today. Hello. 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 Can't hear you. Quick sound check. Quick sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Okay. Sound check. Sound check.
Were you saying words the whole time? You've been live this whole time, I think?
I think so, and I've been trying to sound check, and I finally got my sound working.
That is awesome. My computer's been, like, going in and out. Um, it's been weird. I need to update it. I need to, do some upgrades. This is gonna be awesome to rewatch it. I didn't know I was gonna keep you on. I thought it kicked the whole thing off.
No, I was on by myself, nervous. I'm not used to this type of thing. So,
You stalled?
yeah, stalled.
Did you even pretend to talk about science?
Hell no.
No, you're just like, "Fuck it, we're just gonna sit here awkwardly." Ah, that's incredible. Yeah,
Oh,
I got back on, and I seen that it said live. I was like, "There's no way," 'cause it's, anyways, we were talking about the simulations.
yeah.
Uh, go for it.
Um, Let me see.
So there's been some studies, and again, some of them, and I'm going to resort to looking over here to where I've got it. 2003. This is more of a philosophical conversation more than it is a physics conversation. So we always have to take that into account too, right? A lot of these conversations within the science community is more from a philosophical perspective than it is a physics perspective. So it's still scientific. You can still consider it somewhat of a science, but it's not a there's nothing that humans are probably ever going to prove in that regard. We're probably never going to see an experiment, and I say probably because maybe we do, but it's just not very likely. So Nick Bostrom in 2003, are you living in a computer simulation? Again, this is more of a philosophical conversation. David Kipping in 2020,
Hmm.
a Bayesian approach to the simulation argument. The physics-based one, this one's by Beane, Davudi, and Savage back in 2012. Constraints on the universe as a numerical simulation. This one investigated observable effects of space-time where space-time were computed on a lattice, predicts detectable symmetry violations in ultra high energy cosmic rays. And then there's another one that is just a hypothesis, I guess, more than anything else. Holographic information, simulation adjacent. So that's the other conversation that kind of gets floated around with this, is that we're a hologram.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, people didn't just wake up and decide to question reality just because they were bored.
you don't
Um,
think so? I honestly do
nah.
think so.
I mean, I think there's actual reason that these scientific ideas stuck, and physics just keeps showing patterns that look engineered, and that's the only reason that people are thinking about it like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for the human brain that almost needs an explanation for everything. The problem is when you don't understand how it works, the human brain just goes to the batshit crazy. And this is again, I talk a lot of shit about the flat earthers, but this is how the flat earthers come about. The flat earthers are very much humans who don't understand how it works, so they just
Mhm.
make shit up. So yeah, I get that. I get that. Oh, there's another one. Sorry, cosmology and quantum gravity models are relevant to simulation ideas. This was Afshorty, 2016 observational test of holographic cosmology compares holographic universe models with the cosmic microwave background data, computational holography hypothesis. Stoichev in 2025, which like just last year,
Mhm.
proposes deterministic computation underlying physical reality. I think that's kind of what you were talking about um is the stuff. But anyways, John Archibald Wheeler. So there's plenty of studies. I guess I should just shut up and just acknowledge that there's plenty of studies, both from a philosophical perspective and a physics um, query as well.
Yeah. I also want to acknowledge in the chat. I'm very sorry. um, yeah. Someone said that I just yelled real loud
Oh,
while
you
you were
yelled
gone.
really?
I yeah. I said something and yeah, it must have been really loud. So
No, I think it was me that yelled.
oh,
Yeah, I think it was me that yelled.
okay.
Um, when the computer went off, I yelled. I think
Ah,
that's what they're talking about. Yeah, I don't think it was you. I don't think it was you. Um,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
so I mean, the big thing is mathematics is pretty much baked into reality. So every law has a nice little equation, and so everything looks designed, and that's why everybody thinks that life is just a mathematical computation, and that's why we live in a simulation.
correct, correct. Yeah, I mean it's this is where my conflict is. I talked about this a little bit, I think, in some of the very first episodes. My conflict is between believing and not believing in religion, theology as a whole. Is it the universe is kind of perfect, not perfect. That's why I say kind of, like, I have to qualify it as it's pretty close to being perfect, right? Like if you really consider, one of the most, for me anyways, one of the most powerful, cheesy, I know, scenes from a sitcom was from Young Sheldon. I don't know if you ever watched Young Sheldon.
No.
Um, but this is a kid who doesn't believe in God, but his mom's super religious, and she starts to doubt God. And he explains, like, did you know that if the sun were just a little bit warmer, or if the moon was a little bit off, he explains it something to that degree. Like it's kind of weird that the moon and the sun are working at exactly what they need to be working just for
Mhm.
us to survive. And it is, it really is kind of that perfect. As if we were tilted a little bit differently, if the moon was a little bit off, if our orbit was a little bit off, and we're not talking about a fuck ton off, we're talking about just a little bit off, life would look a little bit more interesting. That doesn't mean that I say there is a creator 100%. I'm just saying I understand why humans would easily believe there's some sort of creator, including simulation.
Yeah. Um, so the universe pretty much runs on a bunch of different limits as well. You've got the speed of light, and everything is calculated based on the speed of light. Well, speed of light in a vacuum. So they all look like computational boundaries. They all look like the limits of anything. So you have a calculation of entropy. Well, does entropy have a calculation? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I believe there is a an equation for entropy. Let me look it up and see what's up. I was looking at whether or not DNA had binary code in it. Um, so entropy equation, but I was under the assumption that there was an equation for entropy, and I'm gonna post it up here so that humans can see it. Um,
Yeah.
entropy equation. Here we go. So this is the equation for entropy. Measures the
Entropy.
disorder or energy dispersion in a system calculated macroscopically as the heat transferred. And yeah, there you go.
Oh boy. Yeah. So I mean, this is another reason. This is why everything is basically a mathematical equation.
That is weird. That is one I accept as a reality, that the fact that there's so much math in everything, even this one, right? If you just do a basic Google search, DNA has binary code. And
Hmm.
now this is AI, so take it for what it's worth. I'm not clicking on the actual post. I'm not going to the actual link. So please understand that. I had heard of it having binary code in it, but no, it's quaternary base fork code.
Yeah.
Base binary DNA uses four-letter alphabet ACGT instead of just 2, 0, 1. But even that is kind of weird that it's a code. It's it's not a numbers, not a binary code the way I thought, but it's still a code nonetheless. Um, and that's weird. That's it's intriguing. I don't know if it's weird, but it's definitely intriguing to a brain like mine that doesn't fully understand and grasp
Yep.
how it all works.
Now, I heard when you mentioned Bostrom, his entire argument. Um, I mean, I can break that down in about three different, um, sections here. I mean, basically, the first thing in his argument was no civilization ever becomes advanced enough to simulate reality. Um, Second one says some do, but they never bother. And the third one says, or they do, and we're definitely inside one.
Which one were you talking about?
Nick
Bostrom.
Bostrom.
Nick Bostrom in 2030. This one's more of the philosophical conversation, right?
Yep. Yeah. So
So
if
so his argument was we will never be advanced enough to actually be. So basically, we're too stupid to be a simulation.
right, or we're smart enough, but we're not going to bother with it. And if we did bother with it, we are probably inside one and just don't know it.
It'd be crazy if we were. It for me, it would be just be insanely crazy because we've seen simulation. I get it. People are going to argue, well, it's such an advanced simulation that it's flawless. But I mean,
Mhm.
we've seen all technology. If you buy shit, we just seen my technology go down. Um,
Mine went down just before this, so
yeah, and your technology went down just before this, right? So we live in one of the most advanced societies in the world, and we still have a lot of power failures, right? Like we're not a third world country. We're quote unquote an advanced first world country, and we still have a lot of failures. I You see MacBooks that by a lot. I don't like Mac in any way, shape, or form, but you see a lot of MacBooks fail and high end computers. My computer is old, but it
mhm,
wasn't inexpensive. It's not like a $500 build. I built it myself, and for its time, it was good. But now it deteriorated. It's just old technology, right? I think it's like 6 7 years old, which for technology is pretty old. Whatever technology we're in is super fucking old because you have to consider this technology, the simulation that we've been in, has existed for billions of years. Um,
right.
yeah,
So, yeah, Art was saying Kipping state's almost 50-50. He's talking about David Kipping.
David Kipping. 50-50
Yeah.
what?
50-50 that we're either in a simulation or not. Currently, he has it a 50.2 chance that we live in a standard based reality and 49.8% chance
How
that
is
we're
he?
in a simulation.
Who the fuck is David Kippy?
Kipping, he's a astronomer from Columbia University, and this
Uh,
is a study in 2020 he did.
did I mention him? I don't
I
know
don't
if I
think so.
mentioned him. Yeah, I don't think I'm. Maybe I did mention him. Um, oh yeah. David Kipping, the Bayesian approach to the simulation argument. But again, this is more of a philosophical probability type stuff. It's not based in my understanding of it is not based in real physics. So this
Correct.
is this is where that problem is for me is most of this stems from philosophical conversation, a thought experiment,
Hmm.
and not real data. Schrodinger's cat is mostly a thought experiment. It's not based in any real science. It led to real science. It concluded, like, there was things that followed, but the thought experiment itself, the Schrodinger's cat, is just that, a thought experiment. And I think that's where we're at with simulation. Is it's mostly just a thought experiment. There's nothing we can. I don't think there's anything we can do to prove it. It is intriguing. The math thing intrigues the shit out of me. Like, everything is math. I'm not a
Right.
numerologist. Numerologist? How the fuck do you say? That's when the
Yeah.
Mexican kicks in, and I can't say these fucking things. Um, so I'm not one of those, but there is a lot of people that gravitate towards that. Like, 7 has a meaning and 4 has a meaning. I think it's all bullshit,
Yeah.
and just a lot of coincidence. But you're not wrong in saying there's math in almost everything. Like, we can solve everything through math, which is weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if simulation was actually possible, then statistically simulated minds will outnumber the organic ones. If you think about that,
Say that again.
I said if simulation is possible, and say it doesn't cost much to do, then statistically, then simulated minds will outnumber the organic ones. There'll be more people in the simulation than it would be creating the simulation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Um, so you don't believe we're in a simulation?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, there's too many anomalies. I get it. AI can hallucinate. Uh, there was a
Yeah,
study in
but
which case they. Hmm?
that's not a hallucination. That's just, it's dumb.
All right.
And it's making shit up,
Yeah,
and
pretty
they call
much.
it a hallucination.
Yep, and it can go down the wrong path really quickly.
Quick. But anyways, I cut you off. You were saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, uh, one of the thought experiments was trying to actually simulate a real world in AI, and even though you don't like the word hallucination, it's going to hallucinate. It's going to basically leave things out, small things, large
Yeah.
things, and that's how you know. If our life is in, it almost looks like it's engineered. It looks like it's too perfect. And so, if that's the case, then AI not being perfect means that AI is not creating the simulation. So,
Correct. Yeah,
who
correct.
is?
Yeah. No, and it's not that I don't like the word, hallucination. I just think it's their fancy word to not just say it fucks up.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, I
wrong.
think a lot of people programming it are on drugs, but
Yeah, most techies are into the psychedelics. A lot of those techies are definitely into the shrooms. So what would convince you then, that this was a simulation? And
um,
that's tough to ask of anybody who's a skeptic.
mhm.
So I
I mean, if it is, program me to walk through walls. That's what I really want to do. Like, if I can walk through walls, I'm good.
Yeah, but then you could argue that then you're just dead, right? Because there's a lot of people who believe in ghosts. I don't. I don't believe in
Mhm.
ghosts. But then there would be that argument. Well, you walk through walls because you're actually dead and you're not alive. You're
Oh,
a ghost.
you can
So
be
then there's
outside of the simulation.
oh, you would walk outside of the simulation
Yeah,
into nothing.
sure. It could be
Basically,
a giant data center.
wake up like the Matrix, and then you see
Hmm.
other people plugged in. But see, that would be the other thing, is if I am a simulation, why do you need a body to be in? Because that's the other argument, right? Like, you're plugged into a simulator. So
Right.
then why would you need the body if you could just create the simulation all by itself? It's
You
that's
you would just need the brain, or is it just to sustain the brain?
well, it'd just be nothing, right? Like, This is a lot. It's a lot of what ifs.
Right.
I don't need anything except code to create a video game. I don't need a body. I don't need a brain. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need code.
Yeah.
Uh,
So one of the things that will get you is civilizations, they have simulated, or they have the idea of ancestors. So where was that program? If this is a simulation, where do they think to program the idea of um, past relatives moving into a you know a different plane and having ancestors that are able to guide you and so on and so forth? Where did that idea even come from?
all of it, like all of that weird shit that is the spirituality, the terror. It's stuff that makes no fucking sense if this was a controlled environment.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of shit that I'm talking about, like tarot card reading and stuff like that. That's an insane fucking concept that only a bored human that wants to swindle other people is gonna fucking come up with. Um,
Mhm.
that's ultimately all it is. So it's I don't know. It's weird.
Yep. I have a question for you.
Go.
Does the universe look like it's rendered?
That's a weird question because we can't see the universe.
Well, I mean, even the things around you, do they look like it's rendered? No.
I For the most part, no, but I do have to admit that there has been times where it just doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
Um, there's a video that I seen recently that kind of showed fog, and the comment was like, "This kind of looks like," and the human was walking towards the fog, and as they kept walking forward, like things would appear because they're just walking through the fog, and you couldn't see them. Now you can see them. That's all it was. But if you've ever driven in really thick fog, that's kind of the way it works, and you could argue that that kind of looks like when you're playing a video game, and at a distance the pixels are trying to get back together,
Hmm.
and they render into your field of vision. So you could argue that at that point it kind of does look like a rendering. There's a lot of other weird shit like that if you weren't smart, you can kind of attribute it to that. But
Yeah.
floating lightning is batshit crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen floating lightning. Google that shit.
Oh, I
Um,
think I did see something about that.
like that looks weird. That looks like a glitch in the fucking Matrix. When you have lightning that's just floating in the fucking air, like it's just a big charge of electricity
Mhm.
just floating in the air. That looks wild. I've never seen it in person. I hope to one day see it in person.
Right.
It's one of those things that it's so rare that you personally would probably win the lottery before you see that. But there's obviously been people who do get a recording of it. But is that
Mhm.
what it's called? Floating lightning or
Um, I would say
floating
something like static.
lightning? Uh,
So, yeah, the whole thing about a rendering, I mean, Planck length, Planck time kind of behaves um, like the universe has like the smallest resolution. So, it's if it is rendered, I mean, this is beyond 8K here, especially since you have three dimensions. If you're looking at it, with your regular eyes, the wavelength that your eyes are picking up, you're able to see depth much better than you can on a screen.
Yeah, well, if you study the eyeball, we technically don't have 3D. It's a parallaxing effect because our eyeballs are round.
Hmm.
Um, we technically can't. We see in 2D, and what gives us a 3D effect is a parallaxing in our eyes. So like it's such a weird fucking thing. Yeah, ball lightning. That's all it's called. Ball lightning. If you Google YouTube ball lightning, you'll see plenty of pictures and videos of balls of lightning just floating in the air. That looks weird as
Oh,
shit.
okay.
Yeah, that looks
Oh,
super weird. Um, so there's a lot of weird stuff. Our eyes have a natural blind spot, and there is proof that our brain fills in that natural blind spot. There's plenty of evidence of our brain filling in the gaps where images or information doesn't exist. Our brain kind of just so I can see why a lot of humans would attach to that and say this is proof or evidence that there is a simulation.
mhm. Yeah. What about we can always go back to the double slit experiment as well.
Yeah, but that goes back to kind of the Schrodinger stuff.
Mhm.
What's your angle? What's your take on that one?
That, I mean, since reality is supposed to behave different when observed, similar to dynamic rendering. So just to kind of save processing power if it is a computer that's simulating.
Yeah, there's that weirdness. Um, I play video games with my kids every once in a while, and there is a reality within that reality that when a character wanders off too far, you can't see it anymore, but it's still there.
Mhm.
You just can't see it. Some other player can see it. Somebody else can see it, but I'm too far out of the range that they allowed it for. Um, so I can see how that kind of relates to that, but it's still different though.
Yeah.
Um, because again,
I mean, life is going on regardless, but the double slit experiment is basically saying that you are only observing the life that you can see right now. You can't see the other life that's going on, so it can essentially pause.
but I don't think that's the double split experiment. I think it's a take on it, and I think it's
Yeah.
a reach on it, but I don't think that's how the double slit experiment actually works.
No, it doesn't. But it's uh, showing an object that's or a reality that's at two places at the same time. So that's you have the reality that you're observing. You have the reality that's taking place that you cannot observe or you're not there to observe. Um, if it's moving, the second reality is moving. You're not observing it. Then if we are in a simulation, it would be kind of like that NPC, that's
Yeah.
off in the distance. You know, that portion of it pauses while your life is going on, the part that you can observe.
Yeah, I think if we're going that route, relativity probably explains it better because that's true. This is a known fact. If I'm traveling at the speed of light and you stay here on Earth and I'm going somewhere else, we're experiencing time differently. You age, I don't, or we age at a slightly different pace. The closer I get to the speed of light, the slower time is going to go for me. But I feel like time is moving at the time. Um, they call it the twin paradox, right? Like it's that is same events, two different realities. Um, that's kind of closer to that. What happens after death if this is all simulation? Will I be rebooted? Can I start my request for a better attitude? And no generational traumas. That's the other thing, the amount of fucking traumas that humans have,
Yeah.
that if you were in a simulation, like, there'd be no real traumas. Like, that's a good one.
So
Uh,
that reminds me of a phenomenon called quantum mortality. If you've ever heard of that one.
no.
And it's the belief that your consciousness doesn't, I mean, never dies because it's an energy source. And so when you die, when your physical body dies, your consciousness then moves into the next version of you that's alive.
Yeah, that's even more batshit crazy than a simulation,
Yeah, it's something that Stephen Hawking actually believed in. So um,
and
that
that's
was
why he's the most overrated scientist ever in the history. in the
I
history.
mean, I have a theory that this is how he died, but yeah. So he was like, I wonder if I can live in the next life or just move my consciousness to the next life, and then he's gone.
And I think that's how the way it works because even if it is energy,
Mhm.
even if it is energy, like it's not traveling energy. It's just
Right.
consciousness. It's I don't know.
So, I
I
mean,
think
my
that's why.
theory is that, any scientist that decides to, experiment on that, and, good
And
luck
himself.
because yeah, because they think that they're gonna move to the next version of themselves, and but
Yeah,
the thing is, the way that that theory works is that if you actually do move to the next version of yourself, there's a block that makes it so that you don't remember your past. You don't remember the previous life, I guess.
yeah. Which then it becomes all pointless.
Right.
Yeah, then it becomes all that's the catch all um bullshit of well, you can't disprove me because just can't remember it, but I'm still right. Believe me, you just don't remember. Like that's
Mhm.
not. I don't
I
know.
mean, like I said, the only way to prove it is your life has to end, and then all of a sudden you get to the next one. You're like, oh yeah, but then you can't remember
You can't
the
remember it.
past life.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
just you're just being born again.
Which seems like a waste of energy. Um, highly unrealistic. I would almost. I would almost believe more in simulation than in this idea of reincarnation through that method.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, that's you're right. It is batshit crazy. So
it is super weird. Um, I've got a few questions that I wrote down. I always forget questions that I want to ask you. If simulated beings create simulations inside their simulation, where does the real universe statistically sit?
just outside of that simulation, I don't know. The last one. Where does the
uh,
universe sit? I mean, like I said, you
yeah,
probably wake up in a data center with a bunch of lab coats and stuff. I
yeah.
really don't know. I, for me, I mean, I'm not living in a simulation. Edgar says he says you want to come back as a dog.
I want to come back as a dog, as a white person's dog. That's what
As
I
a
kind of
yeah,
want to,
yeah.
as a white person's dog, not just any dog, but as a white person's dog. I've always said this. That's my running joke is no creature on earth gets treated better than a white person's dog. Uh, those motherfuckers are set, man.
Yeah.
Um, so you talked about consciousness, um, and we talked about games.
Mhm.
So is
Um,
consciousness the player or is it the character?
I'm supposed to be the character, but
According to what?
well, that's what I was. That's the paradox right there. It's supposed to be the character. However, if you go by the rules of observation in quantum theory, then the observer also is the player, the one who controls the simulation. So
Yeah, because that's where the consciousness is at. That's where the thoughts are at, is in the player.
right, but at the same time, the player is also the observed. The observer, it's the observer and the observed.
Yeah, but the character doesn't do anything unless the player does stuff
Yeah, until it's observed
by anything.
by anything.
Huh.
This is
Um,
why quantum mechanics. This is why you hate quantum mechanics. I'm telling you.
well, the reason I hate quantum mechanics, and it's not that I hate it, it's just the frustrating thing about quantum mechanics is that it seems like we have found the effect, but there's no cause.
Yeah, it can't be explained yet,
It can't
and
be explained yet.
there's so many explanations that are kind of running into each other that it's
Yeah.
just confusing.
So you're a parent. How many times has something been broken and you ask like, "Who broke this?" And then everybody's like, "I don't know." Like
That
it's
happened
clearly
yesterday.
it's clearly broken. Like
Mhm,
clearly something happened, and
mhm.
everybody's like, I don't know, don't know what
Yeah,
happened." Like that's quantum mechanics,
yeah, correct.
and
Entropy is in there too.
so it's just like I don't. But entropy, you can you kind of understand. It's just the spreading of energy. Like energy is just spreading.
Yeah, I mean, the broken thing is never gonna be put back together, so that would be your example of entropy.
Um,
But see,
for
your
sure,
kids
like
are
that's an oversimplification of entropy. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah, your kids are good though. They just deny breaking things, and my kids deny catching things on fire. So,
Well, usually I'm the one helping them catch shit on fire.
okay.
I'm a pyro. I love setting shit on fire. Um, so I guess the last question before I know today's episode was kind of weird, but the last question is in terms of, well, for me anyways, you can continue asking questions, but in terms of fear or which one would you rather, which one would you fear, that we are or are not in a simulation?
Um, I would fear that we are in a simulation,
Yeah.
just because of the pointless complexity of life. Pretty much. I mean, I would feel like the universe is trolling us at that point.
That'd be weird, right? Like if we were in a simulation and you realize you're struggling to pay bills, you're stressing about how to fucking buy food, and you may or may not have to do some traveling soon that may or may not want to do. I have to go through shit, and it's all just because some fucking sadist decided to turn on a simulation. Like that'd be weird. I mean, you can kind of argue that for religion too, though, which is why I struggle with this. Is you can kind of argue that, but because you can't have it both ways. We have to be we have to have integrity. I at least believe so. We have to have integrity in what we say. I want to believe in religion, like I want to, but the same way we're saying it'd be pretty fucked up if this was a simulation.
Hmm.
um I also attach that to religion. Is like it's pretty fucked up that we're here living those same struggles for basically no reason. um
Right.
so that's where I struggle with all of this stuff.
So my angle on this is, I mean, if we're actually living in a simulation, who's paying for it?
Who's paying for it? Yeah, that's a
Because I
weird
mean,
that light bill is
the amount of electricity is going to be crazy expensive.
that is the other thing. Is you're like, what kind of weird simulation is this? That's a good point. And obviously we're not on the Texas grid, because if we were on the Texas electrical grid, we'd be
We'd all be dead
rebooting. Yeah, we'd be rebooting every 30 days.
every 30 days, 30 to 90 days. So
Uh,
energy, they would find a way to cut us off at various times so that they can save electricity.
Save electricity, yeah, yeah. If it was ran by Excel, uh,
Yeah.
they do controlled outages.
Yep.
That's batshit crazy. Yeah, I don't think there's ever gonna be enough evidence. Um, and it's almost to the point where if we I would imagine that if we got closer to the evidence, that it would just be shut down. I mean, it makes sense to be like, "Oh, they figured it out." I don't know if you've ever
Oh, man.
seen, the show, The Good Place?
Uh-uh.
The Good Place is the premise is people after they die, they go to heaven or hell, the good place or the bad place. And one of the demons created this place where he called it the good place, but it was actually hell. but they would just
Mhm.
torture you, and um, they would always figure it out. Like, oh shit, like we're supposedly in heaven, but we're always tortured by the shit we don't like. I live in a house I don't like. I'm surrounded by things I don't like. Used to have anxiety. This is clearly hell.
Mhm.
It'd be kind of like it's not a good show. It's by far from it's far from being a good show. But I got sucked into it, and it's kind of like that. Is I think if we got close to figuring out that this was a simulation, which one could argue we're already, on the philosophical side there. Like, it
Mhm.
makes sense that they just shut it down. Like, oh, they figured it out. You just
Oh,
unplug it
man.
and start all over again.
That's why your computer shut off earlier.
That's why it shut off. It's the player's like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah. See,
Science
some of
relies
these
on tests. How does one test the simulation? That's the other thing that we'll never understand is it's pretty difficult to test this.
hey, now you have my mind thinking because just before the show, my power went out, which made us late,
Yeah.
and and then your computer shuts off, which makes us late again, and it's like, "Hey, we heard about what you guys were gonna
Yeah.
talk about."
Yeah, we're gonna check it out. Obviously, it's the Illuminati that's trying to
All the energy comes from the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, for sure. That's so stupid. At any rate, it's a fascinating conversation. I don't know how scientific it is, but it is part of the science world. Obviously, there's plenty of studies on this. Um, just a fascinating conversation, and one that I don't particularly want to continue having. There's only so much you can say about it, right? At some point, it's just like, does it exist? Does it not exist? It turns into more of a philosophical thing.
I'm just trying
Uh,
to find cheat codes, that's all.
that'd be
I need the cheat
awesome.
codes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, that'd be awesome. But at any rate, I appreciate you guys. I thank big thanks to I think it's my wife, or my daughter wanted, but I think it's my wife that's been commenting.
Ah,
Encourage the other comments. If you're watching this on a replay, if you're watching this on a replay, then you just watched um, Richard just sit in awkwardness while I try and log back on.
oh,
High five
man, for,
to you.
like, 10 minutes.
Like, high five to you. That shit's incredible. That shit's
Oh,
awesome.
man.
But at any rate,
I'm
I
not
don't
gonna
know if
live that down either.
no, that shit's great.
Yeah.
Anything you wanna add? Anything you wanna say before we conclude today's shit show of an episode because of the Illuminati and and the simulators?
And the simulators. I mean, if we're simulated, I mean, just everybody be decent, that's all.
Yeah, but you have no
That's all I
option.
can say. You
You
have
don't
no option?
control it. Yeah, you have no you can't control it.
I don't think I was programmed to be evil.
I don't think most of us were. Which kind of as I just said, I don't want to have this conversation anymore. It provokes even more thought, right? It just if this was a simulation, how do you
Then
program
don't.
all of that evil, all of that hate, and it's very specific
Yeah.
hate and evilness for sure. Yeah, weird,
Yeah, I
but
mean, don't divide by 0 because then it ends the simulation, apparently.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
everything
So
goes white.
that's racist.
Alright.
Uh, all right, guys. I
Oh,
appreciate you
no.
guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully it helped you, and even if it didn't, hopefully it entertained you at least. Um, add your questions, add your comments where they belong. Until maybe next week, if the simulation allows us to.
Yeah.
See